I'm retiring from boxing. I'm getting hit in the face every single day while I could be playing soccer.
Jake Paul has just taken a major hit to his career after an embarrassing encounter in the ring with boxing legend Mike Tyson. Following the humiliation, Jake's situation went from bad to worse. Reports now suggest that Jake is on the verge of retirement after a brutal sparring session with Mike. It wasn't just a simple knockdown. Jake Paul was left sprawled out on the canvas, and his future in the sport is now in question. What makes this even more shocking is the fact that Mike Tyson, despite being nearly 60, delivered the knockout blow while Jake, supposedly in his prime, couldn't hold his own. Fans had hoped Jake might be able to compete, but the outcome proved otherwise. Now, he's left reflecting on the devastating loss, and possibly his entire career.
Sorry, I'm getting like a little teary-eyed. But, yeah, and then I wake up the next day and like have a phone call like with my lawyers for one of the lawsuits.
The internet is in shock, but after that brutal knockout, many are beginning to question if Jake Paul's boxing journey is nearing its end. Getting knocked out by someone nearly twice your age is not a good look. Sure, Tyson is a legend, but this fight exposed Jake for what he truly is: someone who's been riding the hype train for a bit too long. Is this the final chapter of Jake Paul's boxing career? The signs aren't promising. Let's break it down. After Jake flooded his social media with training videos, something seemed off. While he was clocking the hours, he didn't appear ready to face a powerhouse like Tyson. The writing's on the wall, and it doesn't look good for Jake as fans wonder if his days in the ring are numbered. Let's be real, Jake Paul's stamina was struggling, and his power, practically non-existent. He was gassing out quicker than a TikTok trend, leaving fans puzzled. And it wasn't just the casual fight watchers noticing Iron Mike himself was concerned. Tyson, who's been in the game forever, kept a close eye on Jake's training clips, and you could tell he was questioning if Jake was truly ready for the big leagues. Mike's not the kind of guy who shows up for a payday and calls it a night. He's a real boxer, even at nearly 60, and he doesn't step into the ring unless he plans to throw down for real. Seeing Jake's preparation, Mike must have wondered if this kid could handle it. So what did he do? Tyson decided to take it to the ring for a test run, a little preview of what might go down on November 15th, 2024, at the At-T Arena. And let me tell you, the result was ugly. Tyson wasn't just there to throw a few punches. He wanted to see if Jake was truly ready to back up all the hype. The stakes were high and Jake had his moment to shine. But what happened? He completely crumbled. The sparring session went down over the weekend, and it was a disaster for Jake. The moment he stepped into the ring and saw Mike standing across from him, all that bravado and trash talk seemed to vanish. Jake was stumbling around the ring like he'd forgotten how to fight. It was bad, really bad. Every punch Tyson threw made Jake look more and more out of place in that ring. Forget the problem child persona. Jake was looking more like the scared child, and then came the knockout. But this wasn't just any KO. It was the knockout, one that sent shockwaves through Jake's entire career. Tyson delivered a punch that landed like a wrecking ball, and the look on Jake's face right before he hit the canvas said it all. It was like he saw his boxing future flash before his eyes, and it wasn't pretty. Jake hit the mat hard, but it wasn't just his body that crumbled, it was his entire boxing persona. That moment felt like the final nail in the coffin for Jake's so-called boxing career. Remember how Jake Paul used to boast about becoming the biggest name in boxing? Well, all that talk came crashing down the moment Mike Tyson landed that punch. This wasn't just another sparring session gone wrong, it was a brutal reality check, courtesy of a boxing legend. Tyson didn't need to say a word, the knockout spoke volumes. Jake isn't ready for this, and after watching him hit the canvas, it's no surprise he's been quiet on social media ever since. The kid's been crying about it non-stop, and honestly, who can blame him? Getting knocked out is one thing, but having your entire career destroyed in front of the world is another level of humiliation entirely.
Like, they're suing me for something I didn't do. Like, on God. It's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of money for no reason. And I'm like...
The real kicker. This was just sparring. If Jake Paul can't survive a session with Mike Tyson, how's he supposed to handle an actual fight? Fans are already speculating that this could be the end of Jake's boxing dreams. Jake's entire brand has been built around the idea that he's an unstoppable force, the guy who can take on legends and win. But now it looks like Jake's been exposed for what he really is, someone who's been out of his league from the start. Tyson didn't just beat him, he broke him. And after that devastating KO, Jake's career is hanging by a thread. So when we say Jake Paul just destroyed himself, we mean it. Because after this, there may be no coming back. This could very well be the final chapter in Jake's boxing journey.
Like, they're suing me for something I didn't do. Like, on God. It's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of money for no reason. And I'm like...
Boxing pros and pundits have been warning Jake Paul from the beginning to stay in his lane and not mess with the baddest man on the planet, Mike Tyson. Don't just take it from us, take it from Joe Rogan, who's been vocal about how Tyson isn't someone you fight for fame and a paycheck.
I'm getting ready for you. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mike Tyson still trains like a beast and has the power to back it up, even in his 50s. But Jake Paul, he wasn't listening. He was too caught up in the potential glory, the media buzz, the fame. That's what Jake's all about, right? He loves the spotlight. This fight was supposed to cement his legacy, but now that legacy is crumbling faster than his post-sparring excuses, this was meant to be Jake's biggest moment, but it turned into his biggest mistake. He thought he could waltz in, hype things up, and leave with another KO on his record. Instead, he got knocked out in the most embarrassing way possible. And the saddest part? Jake's too stubborn to admit it's his own fault. He brought this on himself, from the trash talk to ignoring the warnings of seasoned pros who've been in the game longer than he's been alive. Jake's always chased fame, clout, and quick wins. But this time he played with fire and got burned. Now, the hype for Mike Tyson vs. Jake Paul is overshadowed by the reality of Jake's harsh defeat. The hype was unreal. Fans were losing their minds over the idea of Jake Paul, the so-called problem child, stepping into the ring with a living legend like Mike Tyson. Bets were flying, and tickets were selling like hotcakes. It was supposed to be the fight of the year, maybe even the fight of the decade. But after that embarrassing sparring session, things have taken a serious nosedive. Now, even Mike Tyson doesn't believe Jake is ready for him anymore. The word on the street is that Tyson's considering pulling the plug on the whole thing. And honestly, can you blame him? Mike's been in this game for decades. He's not going to step into the ring for a half-hearted fight just for a payday. Tyson's all about the sport, the competition, and putting on a great show for the fans. But after what went down in that sparring session, where Jake stumbled around the ring like he'd never worn gloves before, Tyson's confidence in the fight has seriously wavered. He's not out here to fight someone who's clearly unprepared, and Jake showed everyone one thing: he's just not ready for this. In fact, Mike Tyson was even quoted saying he doesn't think Jake could handle it. Let's be real, when Tyson says you're not ready, it's time to listen. Here's the kicker: no one else in the boxing world is eager to go head-to-head with Jake either. After this humiliation, his stock is plummeting faster than ever. The only fighters willing to take him on now are a bunch of washed-up MMA stars who aren't adding anything substantial to his record. It's as if Jake is circling the drain, and there's no one left to throw him a lifeline. The fight world isn't taking him seriously anymore. It's no longer about hype, it's about credibility, and Jake has just lost all of his. That's all I have for today. What do you think about Jake's training videos? Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. See you in the next video.